Good morning. Welcome to First Church Unitarian here in Littleton. My name is Lara Hoke, pronouns she, her, and I'm so glad and happy that I am the minister of this incredible congregation. And I'm really glad that you're here with us this morning too, whether it's your first time here among us in the sanctuary or online, or whether you've been here many, many times before or somewhere in between. It's so much better with you among us, so thank you for being here. I want to let you know that we welcome the sounds of children and babies, so don't worry about that. Never worry about that. We're happy that children and babies are here when they're here. I want to let you know that today, of course, is Martin Luther King Jr. Sunday, and so you will obviously pick up on that as the service goes along. But our music today is special. It is, it's written by the instrumental music and the choir's anthem written by our own Niela Miller, who is turning 90 today. So happy birthday, Niela. And we look forward to celebrating with her after the service, after a little bit of coffee, meeting downstairs, and everyone is welcome. We hope you'll join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you need some pastoral care, if you need to talk to somebody about anything that's bothering you, you could reach out to me, or you could reach out to one of our wonderful lay pastoral ministers. Today's lay pastoral minister is Jan Dustin. There she is. And our other lay pastoral ministers are David Butts, Ann Donald, Linda Kaler, and Patty Sardella. And with that, I think I will turn it over to Mary for Community Matters.
Good morning, everyone. Oops, I just lost my notes. I join Reverend Lara in welcoming you to Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Sunday at First Church Unitarian. I did a little research, and Massachusetts was the second state in the nation to recognize MLK Day as a national holiday. We did that in 1975. So this is the 50th annual MLK Day in Massachusetts. Anyone know what the first state was?
Delaware.
Not in New England. Nope, nobody got it. Didn't hear it. Nope. No. 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 I can't believe it. It was Illinois, people. Yeah, Illinois, good old Illinois. I'm Mary Giurleo. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm a member of the standing committee and the choir. I invite everyone to take a look at all the activities happening in Community Matters. They're outlined. The karaoke party on February 14th looks awesome. And I've been asked to announce that the men's group will be online only tonight because of the impending storm. Please join us for coffee hour after the service, briefly, before Niela's amazing birthday party. I also join Reverend Lara in wishing Niela a happy 90th birthday. My dad's 92, so you're a special generation, the silent generation. But we know Niela's not silent. Please be sure to silence your cell phones and your watches, and welcome to our sacred service. Please join me in the responsive call to worship. In the face of hate, we answer the call of love. In the face of exclusion, we answer the call of inclusion. In the face of homophobia, we answer the call of LGBTQ rights. In the face of racism, we answer the call of justice for all races. In the face of xenophobia, in the face of misogyny, we answer the call of women's rights. In the face of demagoguery, we answer the call of reason. In the face of religious intolerance, we answer the call of diversity. In the face of narrow nationalism, we answer the call of global community. In the face of bigotry, in the face of despair, we answer the call of hope. As Unitarian Universalists, we answer the call of love. Now more than ever.
Thank you. I would like to invite up, are you still a birthday girl at 90? Okay. I'm inviting up Niela to light our chalice this morning. And as Niela lights our chalice, please join me in saying the words of our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Thank you. Our opening hymn is number 116, I'm on my way. It's in the gray hymnal. Also, the lyrics are on the screens. I invite you to rise in body or spirit.
Whoop. You can't trust me. Okay. You'll adjust? Thank you. Okay, before I start my story this morning, I must thank Mike Bestian publicly for what I put him through to do this, and that I so appreciate it, so thank you. The story is called Sit-In, How Four Friends Stood Up by Sitting Down. It's by Andrea Davis Pinkney and illustrated by Brian Pinkney. We must meet hate with love. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. These were Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s words that got them started. 4 hungry friends. Eager to eat, each took a seat at the Woolworth's lunch counter in Greensboro, North Carolina. David, Joseph, Franklin, and Ezell sat quiet and still, with hearts full of hope, with Dr. King's words, strong and close. They were college students with a plan. It was February 1st, 1960. They didn't need menus. Their orders were simple: a donut and coffee with cream on the side. Woolworth's was busy, so the friends waited, patiently, silently, without a fuss. They were the only black kids at the counter. David, Joseph, Franklin, and Ezell sat while everyone else got served. At first, they were treated like the whole of the donut, invisible. Others tried to ignore them. The waitress watched and refused them. This was a sign of the times. Whites only. This was the law's recipes for segregation. Its instructions were easy to follow. Do not combine white people with black people. Segregation was a bitter mix. Now it was the friends' turn to ignore and refuse. They ignored the law and refused to leave until they were served. Those kids had a recipe, too, a new brew called integration. It was just as simple. Combine black and white to make sweet justice. For them, integration was better than any chef's special. Integration was finer than homemade cake. Integration was a recipe that would take time. So David, Joseph, Franklin, and Ezell sat quiet and still, with hearts full of hope, with Dr. King's words strong and close. Be loving enough to absorb evil. After sitting and waiting and wanting, a police officer came, but the 4 friends wouldn't leave. The police officer didn't know what to do. The students were doing nothing wrong. They sat straight and proud. No crime in sitting, no crime in being quiet, no danger in looking hungry. The officer left the lunch counter without doing anything. The Woolworths man turned off the lights. He announced Woolworths is closed. So the customers left, including the 4 friends, who went home to dinner where they were served first. And here they are. News had already spread about the sit-in. David, Joseph, Franklin, and Ezell got their names in the paper. The next day, February 2nd, 1960, more students showed up at the lunch counter. Sitting still for what was right, no reservation needed at Woolworth's, the students seated themselves. They were dressed in their best clothes. They were polite and determined. No guesswork for the waitress. The young people knew the menu by heart. They ordered. No food came. The waitress reminded them, whites only, but the kids wouldn't budge. They didn't move. Until they were served, they refused. All they wanted was some food, a donut and coffee with cream on the side. To pass the time, the students read their school books. They wrote in their journals. They finished their homework. They didn't need to read the menu, so they studied for tomorrow's test. What had started in Greensboro spread faster than greased lightning. There were lunch protest counters in Hampton, Virginia, Nashville, Tennessee, Montgomery, Alabama, Atlanta, Georgia, and many other southern towns. If lunch counters could go from whites only to all welcome, if segregation could turn to integration, if black people and white people could break bread together, everyone would pass the test. Everyone would score high. A+ with that coffee and cream on the side. But many folks were not motivated to make that grade. As the sit-ins grew, angry people gave the students a big dose of hatred. They served up hot and heaping. Coffee poured down their backs, milkshakes flung in their faces, pepper thrown in their eyes, ketchup not on their fries but dumped on their heads. They yelled at the students, "We don't serve your kind. Go home. Goodbye." The students wanted to lash out, but couldn't. They wanted to strike back, but didn't. Sitting still was so hard. Practicing peace while others showed hatred was tougher than any school test. Now there were news cameras filming the sit-ins and viewers at home watching it all on TV. The students were more determined than ever to show the world the true meaning of peace. So they sat in silence with hearts full of hope. Dr. King's dream true and close. These were the words that kept them going. We must meet violence with non-violence. The students sat proud and still and waited and wanted a donut and coffee with cream on the side. The sit-ins grew bigger and wider. White students joined their black friends to protest the unfair treatment by restaurant owners who would not serve food to black patrons. They also opposed segregated libraries, buses, parks, and pools. With so many students gathered, people got scared that there would be fighting. They were afraid of all the youngsters grouped together for a cause. Even though the students were committed to peace, the police now took action. They accused the students of loafing. They arrested them. They took them to jail. The students didn't resist. They didn't fight. Instead, they sang freedom songs to keep the peace. They held Dr. King's words steady and close. Demonstrate with dignity. Soon, folks were busy arguing about who was right and who was wrong, that they stopped going to Woolworths and other segregated places. Some shops were forced to integrate to keep their business alive, but the struggle was far from over. In April, an activist named Ella Baker organized a student leadership conference at Shaw University in North Carolina to help young demonstrators. With Ella, the students formed the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC. Inspired by Dr. King, they came up with powerful words of their own. These are the words that became the SNCC slogan. We are all leaders. John F. Kennedy got a taste of SNCC's integration. He didn't sit in, he stepped in. On June 11th, 1963, the president went on TV. He urged Americans to treat each other fairly. He then told Congress to take action against segregation. This became the Civil Rights Act of 1964. On July 2nd, 1964, President Lyndon B. Johnson made the act a law. It banned segregation in public places. The hard work and courage of those brave students paid off. They'd taken a bite out of segregation. Now it was time to savor equality. Now they were ready for the big sip of freedom. Their order was simple: a double dose of peace with nonviolence on top, hold the hate, leave off the injustice. Now the students had the right recipe for integration. The steps were easy to follow. 1, start with love. 2, add conviction. 3, season with hope. 4, extra faith to flavor. 5, mix black people with white people. 6, let unity stand. 7, fold in change. 8, sprinkle with dignity. 9, bake until golden. And 10, serve immediately. Make enough for all. After weeks of sitting, when their backs ached, after months of being still, when their feet fell asleep, after years of praying for laws to change, when they were hungry for equality, the young people finally got what they ordered. It was worth the wait. They served it to them exactly how they wanted it. And oh, integration tasted good. Those courageous young people enjoyed every bite. They came back to Woolworth's for seconds and thirds, and for many helpings after that. When the sit-ins were all done, the students left a big tip. A donut and coffee with cream on the side is not about food. It's about pride. These were the words that filled them up. It's not over, and we need to remember that. Thank you.
This congregation is self-supporting, relying on the generosity of our members and friends to do our good ministries within these walls and beyond them. We rely on the gifts of talent and time, but also on your treasure. And that is what we do when we take the offering on Sundays. If you are able to share some of your treasure, please do so as the offering plate comes around. And if you are with us online and wish to share, you can go to our website, fculittle.org, and donate, hitting the yellow donate button, or you can send in a check to the church to the assistant treasurer. This morning's offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation. Please join with me in the words of our community response. May we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts. Many weeks, this congregation has a special time that we call the Candles of Caring. This is a chance to share those cares dearest to your heart with this gathered beloved community. If you have an important joy or sorrow or concern that you would like to share and you're here in the sanctuary, if you're able, we ask that you would come up to the microphone and say your name and briefly let us know how we might direct our thoughts, prayers, and healing wishes. And to make it go a little more smoothly, if you're able, can line up on the side aisles. And we will also have a chance after that to bring the microphone to you where you sit if you wish. For those of you who are with us on Zoom, please raise your hand in the reactions area and we will call on you in turn and light candles up front. Are there any candles this morning?
So, first of all, I'm Niela, in case you don't know. I wanted to express my thrill and gratitude for my daughter and son-in-law coming all the way from the West Coast to be with me. And it's been touch and go around the weather because they're going to have to fly out tomorrow morning when it's a mess. But they're here, and I love them both extremely much. And thank you for being here. You're a great gift to me on my birthday. I also want to thank Molly Lozeau, who has been utterly generous in performing my music on many different occasions. And I was very surprised because I didn't know what the program was today except for the choral piece, that my music is scattered all throughout it. And this is the only place I get to hear it, basically. So it's very special to me when that happens. Thank you, Molly.
Thank you.
Any others from Zoom? I'd like to ask Bob to light one last candle and let this represent all the joys, sorrows, and concerns that are with us this morning, but that remain unspoken. Please join with me in the spirit of meditation or prayer. Once again, we have come together in love and trust, sharing those cares dearest to us with this gathered beloved community. Let us hold in our hearts, our thoughts, and our prayers those joys and concerns spoken aloud, as well as those that remain unspoken, as we share together in a time of sacred silence. Amen, and blessed be.
This morning's reading is an excerpt from the speech that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered at college campuses across the nation. This is taken from the transcript of the speech he delivered at Southern Methodist University on March 17, 1966. Modern psychology has a word that is probably used more than any other word in psychology. It is the word maladjusted. It is the ring and cry of modern child psychology, and certainly we all want to avoid the maladjusted life. We all want to live a well-adjusted life in order to avoid the neurotic and schizophrenic personalities. But I must honestly say that there are some things in our nation and the world to which I am proud to be maladjusted, and wish all men of goodwill would be maladjusted until the good society is realized. I never intend to adjust myself to segregation and discrimination. I never intend to become adjusted to a religious bigotry. I never intend to adjust myself to economic conditions that will take necessities from the many and give luxuries to the few, leaving millions of people smothering in an airtight cage of poverty in the midst of an affluent society. I never intend to adjust myself to the madness of militarism and the self-defeating effects of physical violence.
We need maladjusted men and women where these problems are concerned. It may well be that our whole world is in need of the formation of a new organization, the International Association for the Advancement of Creative Maladjustment. Men and women who will be as maladjusted as the prophet Amos, who in the midst of the injustices of his day cried the words that echoed across centuries. Let justice roll down like waters, and righteousness like a mighty stream. Maladjusted is Abraham Lincoln, who had the vision to see that this nation could not survive half slave and half free. As maladjusted as that great Virginian, Thomas Jefferson, who in the midst of an age amazingly adjusted to slavery, could scratch words across the pages of history, words lifted to cosmic proportions. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. As maladjusted as Jesus Christ, who could say to the men and women around the Galilean hills, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, pray for them that despitefully use you. And through such maladjustment, we will be able to emerge from the bleak and desolate midnight of man's inhumanity to man into the bright and glittering daybreak of freedom and justice.
Thank you. Such interesting times. Such interesting times. We are gathered here today together about to witness something historic yet truly sad. Tomorrow is the inauguration of a man I do not believe to be honorable, to be our U.S. president again. And yet tomorrow is a national holiday honoring one of the finest Americans who ever lived, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It is, to use Black womanist scholar Dr. Allison Wiltz's words, painfully ironic that this dreaded inauguration is happening on MLK Day. As Wiltz puts it, there's a painful irony in a nation celebrating a man whose decisions have perpetrated harm against the Black community, while at the same time honoring one of the most prolific civil rights leaders in American history. On the one end, we have a white man who, despite being convicted of 34 felonies, has reached the highest political position of power in the country. On the other hand, we have a Black man who, despite his peaceful approach to challenging racial segregation and discrimination, was arrested nearly 30 times and frequently labeled a troublemaker. Wiltz is dead on. It's ironic, to say the least, and it's oh so painful. Today you have heard in our reading Martin Luther King's call to be maladjusted to the outrageous injustices of our times. I certainly hear it as a call to be maladjusted to tomorrow's inauguration. I always watch inaugurations. I'm a little bit of a political junkie, and it's a part of history. I even watched the 2017 inauguration, painful as it was. I felt like I needed to witness it somehow. I will not watch tomorrow's inauguration. You could not pay me to watch it. I intend to be completely maladjusted to this incoming administration. That doesn't mean I'll ignore the news for 4 years, but I don't have to torture myself either watching the farce of a man swearing to protect and defend our Constitution when I know that's a lie. I don't need to watch that. I will pay attention. I'll pay careful attention after Monday to see just what he's up to, just what he'll be doing to offend and desecrate our Constitution, our nation, our vulnerable people. I will not adjust myself to it. I will never normalize it. I don't give homilies like this very often, trashing incoming presidents. But in the face of what I see to be the threat of rising fascism, I give homilies like this. I love my job, I do. I love being a Unitarian Universalist minister, and I love being your minister. I love being the minister here at First Church Unitarian. There are times when this seems like such a strange vocation, parish ministry. There are times where you wonder what kind of difference you're actually making, what kind of difference the congregation is making. But if there's any silver lining to the horrors that are coming, it's that I have no doubt that this congregation is a meaningful place to be, and as meaningful a place as I could be working. And I hope that you feel this is a meaningful place to be too, this congregation, to be part of a community such as this, and no doubt a meaningful time to be part of other communities that are life-affirming that you might be a part of too. A colleague recently shared something with me that I'm going to share with you now. It's from Drew Henson's book, The Dream, Martin Luther King Jr. and the Speech That Inspired a Nation. It's a vignette where King is attending a meeting at the NAACP headquarters in 1963. And he's talking to Roy Wilkins, who is an activist who's been working within the system, doing things like bringing lawsuits, challenging legislation, and making important incremental change through official channels. So here's the excerpt from the book. Roy Wilkins leaned over a table toward King and said, "One of these days, Martin, some bright reporter is going to take a good hard look at Montgomery and discover that despite all the hoopla, your boycott didn't desegregate a single city bus. It was the quiet NAACP-type legal action that did it." "We're fully aware of that, Roy," King replied. And we in the SCLC believe that it's going to have to be a partnership between nonviolent direct action and legal action if we're going to get the job done. Wilkins pressed on. In fact, Martin, if you have desegregated anything by your efforts, kindly enlighten me. Well, King said, I guess about the only thing I've desegregated so far is a few human hearts. Wilkins conceded, nodding. Yes, I'm sure you have done that, and that's important. So keep on doing it. I'm sure it will help the cause in the long run. Now, I think Roy Wilkins was being a bit patronizing. Maybe he was jealous of all the attention King got. I don't know. It's human nature, I suppose. If this vignette is pretty accurate, and I believe that it is, then King was excellent at being non-reactive, a great skill to have. But King absolutely, as we know, changed human hearts. And that's the business we're ultimately into. That's how we can be the church and fight fascism. I know we'll be back to doing practical things like writing letters soon, and I know we'll also call legislators and do all that very important work as advocating as concerned citizens. And that work is ours to do too. We can do our best to get the job done working on the inside official channels. But I think it is our work to be creatively maladjusted. That's really our magic. I mean, we're pretty weird here at FCU, aren't we? We're wonderfully weird. I've heard one of you lovingly refer to us as being the island of misfit toys. And I'm perfectly okay with that. I'm proud to be a maladjusted misfit, especially in a time such as this. Part of our magical role in a time like this is to use our weird, loving community to be creatively maladjusted in a way that helps to keep our own spirits high as we fight for a better world, and to do what we can to change hearts out there in the community. Not with clever arguments and debates, which generally don't change minds as much as we like to think that they do, but with beautiful displays of love for the world that will, over time, change hearts and minds. It is, as King noted, the partnership that gets the job done, practical acts and creative, loving spectacle. Yesterday, quite a few of us from here at First Church Unitarian, together with folks from the Congregational Church of Littleton and others from the community at large, created a loving spectacle on the town common. There were 150 or more of us holding signs of loving support for oppressed and marginalized communities and signs of support for bodily autonomy and more. Chanting things together about democracy and standing up for ourselves and for others. I mean, we were wonderfully weird doing that in the middle of a busy intersection on a cold winter day. And many people honked and waved, including some that my own prejudices were surprised by, like at least one 18-wheeler honked and waved. And maybe a couple of people said disparaging things, but not so many. But then the most were the people that drove by quietly and just took it in. And that's our target audience. I'm happy to cheer up and give hope to those who honk and wave too, and I think it does cheer us up when we see these things. But I really want people who aren't always the most engaged or who don't necessarily know what to think to drive by and see the wonderfully weird, engaged, committed, loving island of misfit toys and take it all in. I know it makes a difference. So let's continue to be creative. Let's be consistently maladjusted to tyranny and hate. And then let's put the two together, indeed, finding ways to be creatively maladjusted, finding the next right thing to do, and doing it with gusto. Doing it when we can, smiling, looking like we are the place to be, because we are. We have each other, and there are others like us out there in the community who are with us too. And we're not turning back. We're moving forward on the right side of history and on the side of love. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. Our closing song is a song by Emma's Revolution by Pat Humphreys. It's called Keep On Moving Forward, and you'll see the lyrics in your insert and also on the screens. Friends, for our closing words, if you're comfortable, you can hold hands or touch feet or elbows or anything that's comfortable for you, or simply hold up your hands and feel the energy between us and those who are with us online. We are the creatively maladjusted, wonderfully weird island of misfit toys, ready to be maladjusted together to tyranny, to hate, ready to creatively find ways to bring about a better world through loving action, through inspiring others, through changing hearts and minds. This is our work to do, and I'm happy, so happy to be doing it with you. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. Please be seated.